The Bluebirds are on a roll, scoring goals, and just having a great time. The Lady Cardinals gathering around to take a selfie. And remember that time when you just couldn't get the top off that pop bottle, no matter what you did? Get ready for an epic flush as we all celebrate Cardinal athletics. Sports Night is next.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sports Night. I'm Joe Young.
And I'm Howie Shapiro, and I just learned a whole lot about Pat Boone, the singer. Very exciting stuff.
I don't know how you could possibly derail the show any faster than with that opening line, but we have a lot of great stuff to talk about. Boys hockey team is in a spot right now where they need to stop the hemorrhaging after such a great start.
Yep.
They've hit the skids a little bit, but girls hockey is on fire right now, as is the boys basketball team.
Both teams on a roll.
Well, we start with the boys hockey team. The Cardinals started the week hoping they could stop a 3-game skid, but their schedule was daunting to say the least. On Thursday, they traveled to Anoka to face a Tornadoes team 1 game behind them in the standings. Anoka had just ended a long losing streak of their own, and they would be a tough opponent, especially on their home ice. Cardinals' record made them a slight favorite, but they need to have their A game in Anoka. The Tornadoes stormed to the lead just 21 seconds in. Good feed to the front. Michael McGonigal able to sneak the shot through and give Anoka the lead. Cardinals even the score midway through. Great feed from Barzis to Koval out front for the one-timer. We're tied at 1. Anoka gets the lead back late in the period. Matt Isorella able to score on the backhand as he collides with keeper Austin Durkop. That gave Anoka a 2-1 lead after 1. An evenly played second period, and Anoka gets the only tally. Cardinals turn it over high in the zone. Jacob Sjostrand able to sneak it past Durkop, make it 3-1 Anoka. Early third period, stretch pass from below the goal line sends Hayden Caesar in on a breakaway. Durkop makes the save, but McGonigal there to put home the rebound, his second of the game. Cardinals pulled their goalie with just under 3 minutes left. They gave up 3 empty net goals, but they did get one with the extra attacker. Long shot for the point turned away. Eli Bowden sweeps the rebound home on the backhand, but the Tornadoes breeze to a 7-2 win over the Cardinals. And I think it's a little bit closer than the final score indicates because of those 3 empty net goals. But Anoka, for the most part, held the Cardinals deep in their end, didn't give them a lot of offensive zone time, and so Coon Rapids just the 1 goal until I don't know what that last one came with, a minute and a half, minute 45, something like that.
Well, 3 empty net goals aside, you're still giving up 7 goals in the game, and I know that Coach Rock does not want to see that his boys give up those kind of numbers.
Well, an even tougher opponent for them on Thursday. They traveled to take on, or they hosted the team from. This was on Saturday. They did not have a Thursday game. On Saturday, Hockey Day Minnesota. They welcome Elk River Zimmerman. The Elks were not very nice.
They weren't nice to them at all.
7-1 the final. Nathan Clark picking up the goal on an assist from Bresnahan. You see the shots on goal, 51-14 in favor of Elk River. Big week for the boys hockey team. They've got a couple of games a little more winnable, including one in the conference on Saturday. They're at St. Paul Johnson on Tuesday, at Tartan on Thursday, and they host Osseo on Saturday. And with the way this team played early in the season, that's 3 teams they could possibly get their second 3-game win streak of the season.
Well, and they need it at this point in time. You know, they were I believe they were 6-6 at one time, and now at 6-11. It's time for them to go on a win streak, and I'm sure that they would love to be able to do that. Well, speaking of win streaks, the girls hockey team opened last week looking to stay hot. They had won 6 of 7, and the schedule was favorable to keep the streak going. On Tuesday, they hosted a White Bear Lake team that just had 4 wins on the season. After a slow start, the Bluebirds flew to their 4th straight victory. Bears got the only goal in the first period. Haley Dog gets in on left side. Boucher makes the save, but the clear attempt is off Talia Domshot and into the net. White Bear up 1-0 after 1. Early second period, Nola Milton's shot is stopped, but Lily McKenzie jams the rebound home. That evens the score and kickstarts the Bluebirds' offense. Move to just 2 minutes later. 2-on-1 from center ice, backhand feed, backhand finish. Brooke Del Castillo to McKenzie for her second, and CPCR has the lead. McKenzie's first 2-goal game. They add to it off a face-off win in the offensive end, played to the net. Abby Ness able to get it past the keeper and give the Bluebirds a 3-1 edge going into the third. Well, the Bears, they started the scoring in the final frame, but the Cardinals finish it 2-on-1 late in the game. Briley Del Castillo wrists it top shelf. Bolander added an empty netter. And goal to give CPCR the 5-2 win. That was a nice win for them.
It was, and I think a little bit closer than they had wanted.
Yep.
That's one of those games where they went in feeling they were a much better team than their opponent. They want to win and not just win, but dominate.
Right.
And I think that was you always take the win, but you don't want in those games where you feel you are far superior and should go in and dominate. You don't want them to ever pull their goaltender because the game is just so far out of reach.
Right.
If possible.
Oh, if possible.
Well, a cool thing that the teams in the Northwest Suburban started doing the past couple seasons, a home-and-home series, college style. And for the Bluebirds this year, it was the Anoka Tornadoes, and it was this past Friday, Saturday. Started at the Anoka Ice Arena, and it started with a CPCR 6-2 win. Kennedy Bolander, her first varsity hat trick. Congratulations to her. Abby Ness and Lily McKenzie, a goal and an assist each. Molly Terabeza also had a multi-point game. So on Saturday, the Bluebirds were at the Ice Center for Game 2 of the series, and they were celebrating 11 players on senior night. They didn't need much extra emotion to motivate them in this one. CPCR controlled Game 1 start to finish, and they knew if they played their game, they could chalk up their 6th straight victory. Tornadoes scored first, but the Bluebirds respond with a burst. Kylie Scott backhand toward the net. Emma Strauss redirects for the score. That evened the game at 1. And it kick-started the CPCR offense. Less than 90 seconds later, they take the lead. Abby Ness out front for Briley Del Castillo. She snipes the top shelf, and the Bluebirds never look back. They add to it just 12 seconds later off of the ensuing faceoff. Strauss down the left side, backhand toward the net. Kylie Scott there to tip it past the keeper. Same combo in reverse from goal 1. Home team rolling up 3-1. Early second period, Brianna Qualley showing the speed, goes end-to-end, puts a wrister past the keeper, her 5th of the season. That made it 4-1, and they were far from finished. Kylie Scott, top of the circles, great shot through traffic for her 2nd of the game, her first multi-goal game of the year. Still in the second, Terabeza weaves her way in close. She puts it past the glove of the keeper and gives CPCR a 6-1 advantage going to the third. Terabeza nets another in the final frame. Turnover in the Anoka end. Terabeza stays with it to poke it home. Bluebirds cruise to a 7-2 win. And one kind of really cool note, the Anoka Tornadoes have one of the best goalkeepers in the state of Minnesota. Yep. She's just a sophomore. Up until Friday night, she had played every varsity minute for them this season. They gave her a break on Friday night. The Bluebirds go out and beat the Tornadoes 6-2. They brought her back Game 2. Bluebirds go out and beat them 7-2.
They're impressive. I believe in those 6 wins, they've outscored their opponents 40-12. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, they are on a tear, and just a couple weeks left in the season. 5 games total, I think, remaining on their regular season schedule. Tough one here to keep the win streak intact is at Elk River. This is a team now, the Bluebirds have won 9 of their last 10. They're only lost to number 1 ranked and still undefeated Andover. But they're at Elk River on Tuesday. Elk River's a pretty good team. Don't forget, the Bluebirds beat them Game 1 of the Kaposia Classic, right. Blanked them 5-0. They're at Osseo Park Center on Saturday. So big game for them on Tuesday to try and keep that streak alive.
Yeah, and you know Elk River is going to be looking for revenge after that loss earlier.
Especially in a game that has a little more meaning
Absolutely.
to it. As far as the conference goes. Wrestling team very busy last week. On Thursday, they were at a quadrangular in Woodbury. They beat all 3 teams they faced. They beat Woodbury 51-27, Egan 58-20. And to finish it off, they crushed Eastridge 63-15. We're missing a line on that graphic. But Coon Rapids did win that one 63-15. Bridenstine was 3-0, as was Jaden Lilly. Remember those 2 names. We're going to talk about those 2 young men in just a moment. Kenny Wells and Octavian Podubny were also 3-0 with 2 pins. Podubny beat the Woodbury kid who's ranked number 9 in the state in that, and just to prove it was no fluke, he came out and did it again on Saturday in the Eastview Invitational. So congratulations to Podubny. He did finish 3rd place in the individual tournament on Saturday at the Eastview Invitational. Kenny Wells, the best finisher in 2nd place, went 3-1 with a couple of pins. Carter Skradsky finished in 4th place. Timmy Horst, his first ever wrestling tournament, and he takes 5th place for the Cardinals at 138. Caffey and Ross finished in 6th place in their respective weight classes. And just 9 of the 14 weight classes did the Cardinals enter on Saturday. So 8th place in points, but that's without five spots in the lineup. And the reason they were missing some guys is because some other guys, they were busy with something else. And congratulations to Jack Bridenstine and Jaden Lilly, who both qualified for the 9th grade state tournament. Section 7 qualifier was last weekend. And Bridenstine went 3-0 actually, not 2-1. That's my mistake. But I believe he went 3-0, won the tournament, had a couple of pins, beat his first 2 guys in 77 seconds combined to get 2 pins.
That's impressive.
Jaden Lilly lost a close one in the championship, but top 2 make it to state. So congratulations and good luck to both of those young men, an 8th and a 9th grader, by the way. So a lot of youth for the wrestling team, and we have talked about that all season long. This is a team that's more shorthanded than we've seen them in the quarter century that we have followed Coon Rapids sports, but to see quality at those very young levels is very good. And remember, you got a couple of the captains and leaders on the team that are just sophomores in Skradsky and Wells. Yeah,
and you talk about those, the 8th grader, the 9th grader. We're going to be talking about them for years to come. And when you say that quarter of a century, that really makes it sound like a long time.
The Wrestling Cardinals will be in Austin on Thursday for a quadrangular and back home on Friday to go head-to-head against Eastridge. Gymnastics team, a couple of weeks off in the middle of their schedule, so they did not have anything last week, will not have anything this week. They return to action next Monday at Elk River, and then they are at Champlin Park along with Osseo on Thursday of next week.
Absolutely. Got it. Well, let's talk some swimming, shall we?
We should. Okay. We shall.
Well, the swimming and diving team had just one event last week, a trip to Andover for a duel with the Huskies. The Cardinals knew this would be a close one. It could go either way. If they wanted to win, they would need their leaders to win, and they'd also need to score as many depth points as possible. Coach Donaldson and the Cardinals trailing from the opening event and trying to track down the speedy Huskies. Mitch Stronson had another strong outing against Andover. He blew away the competition in the 200 freestyle in 1:57.45, 15 seconds ahead of 2nd place. Nice finish for Mitch. Cardinals down 2 after 2 events. Another blue ribbon for Tyler Schultz. His 200 IM is even faster than Tronson's 200 free. He's all alone in 1:57.12, but Andover takes 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Coon Rapids, they took 1st place in 7 of the 12 events, but only won 4. 100 freestyle, another example. Nolan Schultz wins the 100 free in 54.15, but Andover is 2, 3, and 4 again, and they grew their lead. The Cardinals trail as much as by 20, but never give up. Mitch Tronson getting them another win in the 500 free. But more importantly, Jackson Lean gets 2nd, and the comeback begins. Cardinals won 3 of the next 4 events with a push in the 200 free relay. Nate Larson setting the pace in the 100 backstroke, winning in a time of 1:02.21. Cards got close enough. They had a chance to win in the final relay, but unfortunately, they came up short, losing 100-86.
Yeah, it's tough when you're getting, you're winning more than half of the events as far as the first place finish, but you're losing in points in those events where you got the first place finish. And yeah, the depth came up big for Andover, and the Cardinals feel like that's one maybe they got away from them. That a couple better swims in the middles of the pack, and maybe they come away with it. But you live and you learn, and it's another team you look at that they suffered heavy losses from graduation last year. Tyler Schultz is an outstanding athlete and definite big point getter.
Huge.
Who will be sorely missed. But the youth on this team is also very evident with guys like Nolan Schultz, no relation, and Mitch Tronson, and Nate Larson, who are all sophomores.
Yeah, it's great. Coach
I
Donaldson,
think one of them is a junior and two sophomores.
Yeah, Coach Donaldson talks about it all the time, the youth on this team, and it's obviously very important.
Well, they will be at Maple Grove on Thursday, and then the Northwest Suburban Conference Tournament will be next week on Tuesday or Wednesday. That matchup is still to be decided. Coach Donaldson thinking maybe Champlin Park,
right,
but not quite sure.
Correct.
Nordic ski team had a 5K freestyle race last week, and both Cardinal teams showing improvement as far as the team scores and places. Boys team finishing second place overall. Aaron Casey, a great finish in 13:26. He's second place overall. Ryan Powley in 11th. Josh Thoen was 15th. Demmer was 24th with Peyton Martinek right behind him just by a second in 25th place. Girls up to third place. Another victory for Lila Gilliard. She is having an outstanding season. But the girls Nordic team, very, very young. Gilliard, a senior, having a phenomenal year. And, but behind her, those young girls, I think three of those two are middle schoolers, and one is a ninth grader.
Amazing.
Of the other four girls on that list. So a lot of youth, and they are all improving their places. Ruby Demmer and Megan Fuller a tie for 16th place, both coming in at 20 and 33 seconds. So exciting to see those teams kind of getting their wings, and they're having a great year weather-wise. In comparison, I mean, it's not ideal. But they've had snow. They've had a lot of temps. They've been able to get out. They've been able to practice. They've been able to race, and they've been able to improve so far from the start of the year to this point.
The only negativity has been the cold. Otherwise, they've had good conditions, so it gets a little icy into it, I'm sure, at times as well.
Well, they will have a one last tune-up, a 5K Classic at Elm Creek on Thursday this week. The Northwest Suburban Conference Championship is on Monday, and I believe that will be a pursuit event. Alpine ski team had its race last week at Trollhagen. Boys team only getting 3 to get both of their runs completed. They had a couple of guys that did not ski, but still great to see these Alpine teams with more full rosters than we have in the last couple of years, particularly the girls who have 10 skiers. The boys do have 8. Only 3 of them able to complete both of their runs. Best finish was for Josh Van Norman in 67th place. Chesser and Simon were in 81st and 82nd, respectively. On the girls' side, 8th place finish, Mary Olson, 24th. Shelby Robidoux right behind her in 25th. Carly Hafferman was in 38th, Zoe Scheck 56th, and Sides finished in 65th place in a time of 1 minute 56.27 seconds. They have their final regular season race on Thursday of this week, and then they have a week off or so before the section meet, which is still to be determined where the place is. Most likely it'll be at Giants Ridge. That's where they normally do it, but that will be on February the 8th. Well, the boys basketball team, as we talked about at the top of the show, has been very hot, and they continue to roll this past week. A pair of border battles and a pair of big wins. The Anoka Tornadoes came to the field house on Tuesday night. They were struggling with just 3 wins on the season, but they'd lost a lot of close games, and they were not about to make it easy on the Cardinals. Student section turned out for the team, and they were ready to go to work. Matthew Ellingson punching the clock early. He hit the first 2 baskets of the ball game. Both were from beyond the arc. Cardinals offense clicking through the middle of the first half. Kyjon Cummings-Coleman with a look from the corner. He hits a 3, start of a big night for him. But it was Ellingson that did the heavy lifting through the first half. All of his 15 points came before the break. Elijah Smith led the Cardinals in rebounds and points. Gets a steal here, too. Takes it to the rim for 2 of his 29 in the game. Cards up by as much as 16 in the first half. Tornadoes storm back, though, late in the first. Jay Nyamari gets hot. He had 13 straight points for Anoka, and they trim it all the way back to a 1-point ball game at the break. Nyamari and the Tornadoes not going away in the second either. They keep it close until the midway point. Nyamari had 27 for Anoka. A.J. Housey had added 22. But the Cardinals close it strong. C-squared on a great give and go. He had 20 points against Anoka. And M.J. Galama also scoring big on Tuesday night. Takes this one coast to coast. He had 22 points and 4 steals. Cardinals win 92-80.
This is really a fun team to watch, but it kind of strains my heart a little bit watching these guys because
well,
they get up so big and then they end up letting the other team make a game of it, and fortunately they're able to close it out. But boy, sometimes it's a little too close for comfort.
That's what I asked MJ after that contest. We did the post-game interview.
Yep.
I said, why you guys have to be the cardiac kids and make me sweat? Too many times they've gotten those big leads. The one time it got away from them against Maple Grove, we saw the same thing against Spring Lake Park, saw it again against Anoka. It was good to see them close it out and really finish the win.
And they closed it handily too. And I think
3 guys over 20. That's always fun to see.
Really like I said, it's really a fun team to watch. And when they're playing on all cylinders, especially on the defensive end, boy, they're tough to stop.
Well, I'll tell you what, they did not give up the lead against the Blaine Bengals. They put the hammer down against their border rivals, beat them by 35 points, 84-49. Elijah Smith leading the way with 18 points and 8 boards. McKeith Dang right there with him, equaling both accounts. McKeith, I think, firing back after a very subpar performance against Anoka. He got in some early foul trouble and just never got going. I think he finished with 2 points. So nice to see all 5 guys getting into double digits. Ellingson had 13, CC had 12, and MJ had 11, pushing their record to 10-3. And you might get tired of me talking about it, but 3 points away from being 12-1.
Yes.
This is a huge
I'm sure
week.
Coach O knows that.
Anoka was the first of 5 straight games against Section 7 opponents. This is a huge week for this Cardinals team. They're at Centennial on Tuesday. On Thursday, they host Andover, the number 1 ranked team in the section right now by QRF score on minnesotascores.net.
Yep.
They are the number 2 team. On Saturday, they host the number 3 team from Duluth East, who is also the defending section champion that beat them up at their place in the section final last year.
Well, and this is huge. I mean, if they can reel off 3 additional wins, how big that'll be. We will be, by the way, at that Andover game. We will be covering that. That will be a lot of fun. That should be just a really
hopefully
good game.
A lot of people can come out. That's going to be a great game at the Fieldhouse Thursday night, 7 o'clock. But if you can't make it, set your reminder to flip on the TV, flip on YouTube, however you catch CTN's coverage. Make sure you're here for that one. That is going to be a great game.
Could be a classic.
Well, the girls basketball team had the same schedule as the boys. On Tuesday, they took on the Anoka Tornadoes. They lost a 2-point game. It's a couple of very close games where they've come up just short in the last couple of weeks. Jenny Tombway, 32 of their 56 points. Casey Beck had a dozen, but 32 points. I believe that is a career best for Jenny as she
I would imagine
tries to track down the 1,000th point. We're still working on exactly how many points that is, but there's a slight discrepancy in some of the numbers, but both are reachable marks before the end of the season.
Let's hope so. We'll keep our fingers crossed because she is a really good player.
And a great young person.
Absolutely.
And always has a smile even in a loss.
Always. Well, the Cardinals were back home on Thursday hosting another border battle when Blaine paid a visit. The Bengals started the season with 9 straight wins, but had lost 4 of their previous 5, in big part due to injury and illness. Still, even a mostly healthy Blaine roster was more than the Cardinals could handle. Cards were all smiles before they took the floor, but things changed once we tipped off. Coon Rapids had the first 2 points of the game, then Blaine's brightest star got super hot. The Bengals scored 21 unanswered points. Jade Bryant had 4 3-pointers during that stretch. She had 16 of her game-high 21 points in the first half. So Blaine was sitting pretty at the break, going to the locker room up 33-7. Jenny Tomway held to just 2 points in the first one on a little tear midway through the second to help the Cards keep it a little more respectable. She scored 10 straight points for the Cards to finish with a team-high 15 for the game. Casey Beck had a couple of 3-pointers in the second half. She had 8 points against the Bengals, but the Cardinals never threatened the lead. Molly Garber had a great second half to keep the Bengals with that comfortable margin throughout, and the Blaine Bengals would coast to a 52-30 win.
Yeah, Jade Bryant, we talked about her before the game, is a very good ball player,
Yeah,
and especially a strong outside shooter. And boy, she got hot right away, and the Bengals the Cardinals had no answer. They could never get into any sort of offensive flow. Courtesy to, credit goes to Blaine's defense, but how they were able to spark the offense and just go with what works was impressive.
They played a much better second half.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so they were able to, at least as you mentioned, make it a little bit more respectable. But you're only scoring 7 points in the first half. That makes it difficult to come back into that game.
Well, they will host Centennial on Tuesday, and they will be at Andover on Thursday. And we want to wish all the best to Coach Tom Wico, who took some time off for medical reasons, and we wish him all the best in his recovery efforts. Hope he gets back to the team just as soon as possible. We have a lot for you coming up here on CTN as we talked about one of the most anticipated games on our winter schedule this year. Boys basketball, Andover versus Coon Rapids. They have had some epic playoff games in the last couple of years, including the Cardinals going to Andover and knocking them out of the playoffs in the section semifinal last year. Wrestling against Eastridge on Friday, and then on Monday next week, we will have girls basketball against the Mountains View Mustangs. But that's going to do it for this edition of Sports Night. I want to thank everybody out there for joining us and continuing to support everything we do here at CTN. For the entire crew, including Howie Shapiro, I'm Joe Young, saying good night.